Still visions of photon discs floating through my head. Such a fun game. Anyway, on the upper left part of the map, we have our yellow Zerg player coming in to replace his opponent or replace his teammate Elbagast. It is Lowly from FXOCIS. And down on the bottom right part of the map, the winner of our last game with a clever little cheese build and some good control, it is Complexity Killer.
Is that a Christmas story there you had there? With
Christmas
visions of
with
photon
discs
discs running through his head.
You don't even need to ask for photon discs for Christmas because you can play it for free.
That's
on Battle.net.
right.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who weren't around for that, at 2 p.m. on Thursdays now, what we do is a show called Use Map Settings, where we take a UMS game from StarCraft 2, and we play it with you guys. We play it with fans. Today we were doing a game called Photon Discs. It's extremely fun. Definitely go check that out on Battle.net.
And I actually have access to the beta of the arcade patch as well. So
Looking cool.
I've messed around with that a little bit in the office. Speaking of use map settings, as I was relating back to it, it's pretty good stuff. I enjoy a lot of the things they've done. Made it very clear to search and find games now. So I think it's good. They made like a little homepage for each of the UMS games that get created. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that the UMS community kind of takes off in StarCraft 2. It was big in Warcraft 3. It was fairly big in Brood War as well. And in StarCraft 2, it could be big. I mean, the map setup tool is so robust in this game. You can do so much with it. And I feel like it's largely unexplored to a certain extent. So hopefully we see that pick up a bit.
Yeah, and it looks like, I think that was a 10 pool, actually, that came out for Lowly, so he wants to make sure that his Zerglings get out a little bit quicker. He's not going to take much pylon harassment or anything from Killer, as those Zerglings are going to hit pretty early on, as we can see the Forge is only just now coming up. Not really going to put Killer in danger as far as, you know, the Photon Cannon coming up or anything along those lines. It's just more, well...
Oh, wow.
Annoying and ensuring that he can drop down this hatchery a bit quicker.
Yep, and Killer does actually let the hatchery go down. He's like, all right, well, if you have a pool that early, I don't want to block that because I know you're just going to get Zerglings out anyway, so there's no real point for it.
Yep. And looks like Killer drops down the Photon Cannon at the front after his Nexus, so things all looking pretty standard on his side of the map. Now, we saw what he did on Entombed Valley, which was to go for a very quick third. This is another good map to do it. Very easy to full wall this off at the front, and you can access your third by the destructible rocks off to the sides. You can wait until you're good and ready. You have a few Immortals up or whatever the case may be, and then break them down afterwards. For now, it looks like he's just going to make a little one gap there, a one hex gap in between those structures, but he could still choose to full wall that off in a bit.
Yep. So what do we have going back at home? I have to say, too, that I actually really like the 10 pool against Protoss lately that Zergs have been doing. I think it's a good response to kind of how Protoss have been getting more aggressive with their pyloning, right? You kind of end up putting Protoss on the defensive instead of have them kind of force you to kind of do what they want you to do, right?
We've noticed as well that it's a lot of success in games depends on who sets the tone at the beginning.
Yeah, very true.
Way back in qualifiers in the Team Arena Challenge 2 even, we had players that were denying Zerg bases over and over again, not because they wanted to eke out even that much more of an economic advantage. They just wanted to play the game on their terms, their timings. They had built things around that, and I like to see that flipped on its head.
Yeah, it's quite cool. And the thing with the 10 pool, too, is that you don't really lose a whole lot of droning time. You don't really get behind economically that much.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. So looks like Killer now going to start rallying over at his new base. And no real surprise there. As we can see, he did just finish up Cybernetics Core. Has not decided to get +1 yet, which is kind of interesting. What is he going to allocate his gas to? A Stalker and a Warp Gate research for the time being.
Yep, probably. And so here's the thing. Ohana is a map where you usually see the game go a little bit longer. Protoss players usually prefer to try to play for the long game on this, and Zerg players too. I mean, we might see something a little bit different this time around because, yeah, Lowly does allow his third base location to get scouted. Killer knows that there's no fast third base, and Killer actually going to respond with a Stargate for this. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. We'll see how quickly Lowly wants a triple gas or quad gas. Oh, wow, look at that. Layer Tech at 6.5 minutes, so pretty early on, and he is going up to 4 gas. Now, we've seen a lot of European Zerg players go after Infestors right after this. Common wisdom would suggest that we'd see a Spire pretty soon, but could be a number of things popping up after this Layer Tech is done.
Yep. But probably not Banshees. Probably not going to see those this game.
No, I doubt it.
As
very much
no
so.
Terran, yep.
That's true.
Oh, no. Poor Zealot.
Will he get out of there? The chase is on.
He does.
Yeah.
He makes it. All you have to do is like really grab their little ponytail hair thing and just pull. Just knock them over backwards. I don't know. I don't know why people don't do that.
Well, looks like rather than grab ponytail hair, he's going to grab a third base. And it is a Baneling Nest coming up with double evolution chambers for Lowly.
This is all looking very familiar, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. More anti-Terran-esque than anything. But, of course, no Roach Horn quite yet. We'll see what this tech is going to be. That's the drone that's going to become a building.
Probably,
oh, hey, not another Baneling Nest. That macro hatch is a lot better choice.
Yep, it's about the time to put down a macro hatch. There's going to be a point where your money's going to get high enough that you really do need the extra larva. And here comes Phoenix number 1.
Yep.
And, he actually sees the infestation pit go down. In fact, although he doesn't see it, he's going to come back and click on it. Yep, he knows now. All right, so he knows that there is an infestation pit on the way. So will we see Lowly go for Baneling drops? I feel like without drop play, it ends up not being that good just because of force fields.
That's very possible. We'll find out, though.
Traditionally, that's kind of how it is, yeah.
Yeah, Killer is scouting for Overlords. He will finally find this one. There we go.
Uh-oh.
And take that out. So Overlord does have quite a bit of HP. It takes Phoenix a while for it to kill it, and he will be able to get in position and see gas number 3 and 4.
Yep.
And, of course, knows the Phoenixes are out, but will he get in to scout anything else? No, just kind of trudging along the bottom. Kind of surprised he didn't try to duck in at the last second, and see if that robo was there.
Well, I'm pretty sure he knows that there's no third as well. I think he did see that. So no third, seeing the 2 gas, that should at least give him an idea of what's going on. And he also does see the Phoenix, of course, as well. So he can expect that there's some sort of tech. It is fairly common to do what Killer is doing too, go for Colossi after the just a couple Phoenix as well. A lot of what this is trying to force a Zerg player to build Hydras, but so far it's not really working.
No, not at all. There are a ton of Queens being constructed. There's already 5 on the field with an additional 3 on the way, or 2 on the way, so there's going to be 7 in total here in just a second. So
Queens are pretty good.
Queens are pretty good, and we do have a third base being put down, and unfortunately the probe does die, but we'll need to clean up those destructible rocks here in a second to get through there. The Zergling, though, is certainly going to be annoying.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do. Kind of annoying.
Oh, Killer can't get the probe out. You need to click the minerals. Sometime. Click the minerals. You can do it.
Probe just giving up. He's like, all right,
yeah,
I'll go.
Just go the easy way.
Okay. Sure, why not? Infestor's about ready to come out now for Lowly, and he's getting that Spire too, so he will be able to make Colossi in time. Did he actually scout the robotics bay or any sort of robotics sector?
No, that's why I was wondering if he was going to duck in that Overlord because he knew it was going to die because now he doesn't know the robo's up. He can assume that there's going to be one once it goes to 3 base Protoss.
He's just kind of following his basic plan. I mean, he's not really, he wouldn't really be deviating from what he's doing right now anyway, no matter what he saw. So he's kind of just playing his style and hoping he can meet his opponent mid-map and control well, basically.
All right. Well, Killer's still with a couple of pretty good defensive scouts in these Phoenixes, I've got to say,
Yeah,
has really good read on what's going on. We'll see if one gets fungled out here. No, just kind of dancing underneath it, challenging him to pick one up.
Only one Phoenix, may not necessarily be worth it, but apparently one Zealot is.
Yeah, that's was the same thing I was thinking there. I was like, okay.
All right, well, whatever, Lowly.
Yeah. Oh, unfortunately, the units are able to stream on past the Zealots that were warping in there. Trying to go after the Photon Cannon to start, but there's already a couple of Colossi on the high ground just tearing through the relatively expensive, I have to say, Infested Terrans because it just rendered those Infestors almost entirely useless. A worker or 2 went down, but that was pretty well held there from Killer. Didn't really take any damage at all.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise push from Lowly there a little bit. This strikes me as kind of what Zerg players were playing around with about 6 months ago or so now, where they would go for these really early Infested Terran busts that would usually happen at the Protoss Natural. Now that Protoss are expanding faster, you usually see them try to deny the third with it, but the one thing that stands on my mind with that strategy is how it never worked.
Yeah.
So you don't usually see people do it very much anymore, but Lowly decided to give it a try there as well. I'm not really quite sure what he expected to find out there in the middle of the map with that, but I have to kind of assume, I guess, that he was going for that sort of little Infested Terran bust at the third base. It just didn't end up working very well.
And we already have a Fleet Beacon coming up and a potential 4th base in a second. So Killer is playing he barely only has 2 modes, and that's to be as economically greedy as is humanly possible, or cheese. So,
macro or cheese.
Yes, macro or cheese. No mid-game, no two-base attacks. No, just macro or cheese. And I got to say, macro's working out pretty well for him. He's adding on Colossi very quickly. He already scouted that there are those Corruptors out on the field, so he knows there's going to be a pretty good anti-air prepared for Lowly. But look at this, man. He's got that fleet beacon. He's going to have a mothership pretty quickly if he wants. And see what he decides to do with that.
Yeah, he could be making that mothership. He's not going to be getting Phoenix range, I don't think, in this particular situation. There it is. There's Mothership. Just starting a little bit later there. He did want to put up his Nexus as well, so those are both up now.
Yep.
But Lowly is already on Hive Tech. He's got his Greater Spire on the way. So will he be able to make an army fit to take out this army of Killer in time? That's kind of the big question.
Yeah, this is an insane composition coming out of both players. If we actually take a look at that. Corruptor, Infestor, Zergling, Baneling so far out of Lowly. And, of course, he will be able to move in those Broodlords very quickly. Adrenal Glands coming as well for those Zerglings. On the flip side of things, we have very few Gateway units, but a ton of Colossi. Very well upgraded. Mothership on top of that. Surprising to see no Templar Archives quite along the way, but looks like he's just more interested in reinvesting back into his robo units.
Well, Killer's always kind of had his own way of doing things, so we're kind of seeing that again, and it's worked marginally well for him. He's been in the GSL for quite a while here, and
yeah, he's a really solid player. I think he's one of the better Protoss players out there at the moment. So
yeah, the thing is, I don't know how well it's going to work in this situation. That's going to be tough because Lowly just has really, really good upgrades right now. He's got a good composition. He's not really hurting as far as map control goes. His creep spread is pretty good. The one big problem for him is that he's let Protoss get up to 4 bases, and that can be a very dangerous situation for Zerg in the late game.
Oh, yeah. Especially now as we do see that Templar Archives down. Look at that. Mothership is just about to finish up at the same time. So, and Lowly, of course, on equal bases. Not just letting his Protoss opponent go up to 4 bases, but on equal bases with his opponent. I just heard that Mothership spawn, but we do have some Broodlords that are morphing in as well.
Yep, that's right. They are on the way here. So we'll have to see, like you said, if Killer decides to go for Archons, do that Archon toilet maneuver. Although if he puts Colossi in there too, that is a lot of AoE organized in one place. So the Stalkers could handle the Broodlords theoretically in that case, and the Colossi would just handle, well, everything else pretty much.
That is true. So there we go. Our first couple of Templars starting to warp in now, along with Storm on the way. So this was, oh wow, 213 supply out of 200 now for Lowly. He did just make, there they are, a bunch of Spine Crawlers and cancel them once he started the next units. In fact, when these 4 Broodlords pop up, he's going to have 13 of them sitting around.
That's going to help kill those Colossi very, very quickly as well. And look at how many Broodlords he already has.
Yeah.
That's not bad, man.
All right, so a very powerful army on both sides of the equation here. Just 2 upgrades for ground plus 3 Carapace about to finish up. Looks like a few Zealots here are going to be sacked just to take out some Spine Crawlers so we can add on some Templar, and indeed he is doing that right now.
Yep. Oh wow, that Spine even barely surviving. And there's a couple Archons, so he will try to do that Archon toilet. Oh, but I don't know if he's going to have time. Hopefully he has Overseers with this army. Here we go.
We'll find out. There is enough energy for a Vortex. Is he going to be able to grab it? Oh, here comes the Mothership. Will he hit the Vortex? Yes! It hits almost every one of the Broodlords. Does everything else really not able to do that much damage? The Colossi are still up and remaining. Yeah, let's see if they decide to drop in here. There they go.
They do. Last
second. Those Broodlords are going to stack up at the top.
Oh, this is going to be bad. Oh, the Broodlords.
Oh, my God.
And a Storm, a little bit misplaced, but it doesn't matter. That army is just absolutely crushed by Killer. The supply still about the same. 138 Banelings being made right now for Lowly, but he's going to need a lot more than that to handle this army. That's a lot of AoE.
That is a silly amount of Zerglings that are popping right now. So that number going to continue to increase. But, I mean, what are Zerglings going to do against this many Colossi? Yeah, you were talking about that AoE. The Archon's starting to buffer up in the front. They can rip through Zerglings as well.
Yeah, that's not going to do a whole lot. I think we're going to see GG pretty soon here. Really nicely handled late game. GG. And Killer takes another game.
No kidding. He's won 3 in a row.